Our sponsor for this session is Archrock. Our time is your uptime. Please visit their page in our Sponsor Showcase tab.
Hello, and thank you again for joining us for Hart Energy's Executive Oil Conference. For our next session, we're very pleased to be joined by one of the leaders of the services sector, Chris Wright, CEO of Liberty Oilfield Services. Chris has served as Liberty CEO since founding the company in 2011. Of course, Liberty made a big jump in the market last year when it acquired Schlumberger's North American frac business. That acquisition made Liberty the second largest fracking company in the U.S. Here to talk about his company's position in the market and where the company might be headed is Chris Wright. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be here. Interesting times in our marketplace, to say the least. Before I zoom in onto the recent times, COVID and our Schlumberger deal, I'd love to just set the context a tiny bit. Obviously the shale revolution has transformed world energy markets, and we saw, surging U.S. oil production, but also together with that, these huge increases in efficiency of operations on the service and frac side where we're on, efficiency in drilling and whole process engineering from our customer side, that has just continued to lower the cost, the time, and the people needed to produce a barrel of oil or an M of gas. So for us sitting on the service side in the frac industry, the marketplace probably peaked in the middle of 2018. Now production continued to grow and many things happened after that. But the supply-demand dynamics for the frac market peaked in 2018 and then has gradually weakened since then. And again, at the beginning, mostly for positive reasons, just efficiency increases meant we could produce more oil with less frac fleets, again, less capital, and ultimately, I think, less companies in our industry. So we've had sort of a slow decline in the frac business, or the supply-demand dynamics in the frac business, from the summer of 2018 to early 2020, till last year. So we're already in sort of a grind down, which I think was necessary to sort of restructure the industry, capacity to match demand. And then COVID hit. And obviously this unprecedented collapse in demand for oil, some storage and transportation logistics that really led to a screeching halt in frac activity in the oil basins. Not nearly as much impact in the natural gas basins. We are now in the natural gas basins, but we weren't when COVID struck. So we were in the hard-hit oil basins. Unlike the last downturn that ground down for 18 months and then had a reasonably quick rebound, this one's been the opposite. Activity went from, at pretty reasonable levels in the middle of March. And 2 months later, late May, activity bottomed quickly. Sharp drop, quick bottom. And then we've been sort of a continual grind up in activity levels since then. Every month sequentially, June better than May, July better than June, August better than July, all the way up really to the end of the year. An activity level probably plateauing in the middle of Q4, the little bit of seasonal down in activity at the end of the year, but less dramatic than we've seen in the past. And I don't know today whether we're at a plateau or whether activity will continue to grind up a little bit. I suspect to keep U.S. oil and gas production flat, we would need a little bit more increase in active frac fleets and rigs to do that. We may see that throughout this year. We may see a plateau staying here for a while. So now zooming into more Liberty-specific acquisition. Liberty has always been about how can we push the ball forward in the technology from a frac design perspective, the technology for operations on location, and also the efforts to reduce our impact on our neighbors, on the communities in which we operate, on the air quality, and ultimately on global environmental quality. So Liberty has been pushing on that throughout. And it was one of the drivers of our Schlumberger acquisition. Here was a deal that came that offered a lot of appealing ideas. We were in dialogue for that for a while. The interest on the Liberty side was we brought a ton of technology prowess from Schlumberger, and nicely in different overlap